Matthew Hoh, who I might be having on the show soon. He's been very busy. He went to the border with Gaza, talked about how horrific it was. Many of you may remember that clip because he talks about how a school trip of Israeli kids, like teenagers, showed up in a bus to watch from an observation platform and cheer on the genocide. Truly sick shit. Matthew Hoh's a great guy. In many ways a whistleblower, quit the State Department because of the horror show that the U.S. was involved in. Anyway, this is him on Judge Napolitano's show talking about Israel's economy.
What is your impression of the Israeli economy today from the time you just spent there?
It's in really bad shape. I think we've talked about this before, Judge. The numbers, in a sense of seeing the money leaving the country, the foreign investment not going into it, the 40,000 plus businesses have closed. One of the four major ports in Israel going bankrupt, those types of things. But, just saw other numbers, almost 35% decrease in imports and a similar decrease in exports in the last year. The numbers themselves show that Israel is in a perilous position. But there's a huge caveat to that, and I'll get to in a moment. And we can go on with, different points. But the one caveat I want to mention, Judge, is, well, how is Israel surviving? How are they going to get by on this? And that's because of the United States loan guarantee. The fact that the United States is a guarantor of Israeli debt. And so since last year, in the last 13 months, you've seen a 300 to maybe 300 or 400% increase in the amount of debt, the amount of bonds that Israel has issued. And you say, who's buying these things? Why would they be buying them, knowing the reality of the economic situation, the military situation, the political situation for Israel? Well, it's because these bonds, this debt is backed by the United States. We guarantee it. So it'd be like you or I getting a mortgage and having Elon Musk co-signing with us. And this is essentially where the Israelis come back on, why they're willing to go the way they are, why they're willing to allow themselves to be isolated by the world, to hurt themselves economically, to overextend, exhaust their military, to cause their own political chaos, friction. People talk about civil war. I don't think it'll get to that point, but it's also something that you just can't dismiss outright. And the point is that they can do it because the United States is going to continue to back them financially and be that guarantor, be that co-signer for them going forward.
Yeah, so Israeli economy not doing well, but they have the U.S. obviously pumping money into it. And I had covered the 40,000 businesses that have gone bankrupt, but it's actually far more than that because the study said 40,000 as of, I think, July or early August. And they're estimating 63,000 bankrupt Israeli businesses by the end of the year. So we're getting close to the end of the year. So it's really probably more like 60,000 bankrupt businesses, the ports going out of business. The economy is really collapsing in a big way. But like he said, Israel's got the U.S. funding them. And meanwhile, cities across the United States does not have the U.S. funding them.
There's no such thing as a free genocide. That's capitalism 101. But yeah, to see how committed we are to this unconditionally and where we're careening towards, it's really terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying. I mean, there is a hope that shit gets so bad for Israel that they can't continue genocide. Genocide gets too expensive. I guess that's the hope. But as we've seen with Syria, Israel and the United States are trying to bring down any countries that could pose a resistance to their ongoing genocide. And by the way, I covered this on the show last week. Even mainstream human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, as of a week ago, call this genocide. This is not some indie outlet thing anymore. Really, it's everybody except the U.S. media or Western media and the U.S. government and, the British government.
Even Wikipedia recently, after much debate, they listed it as a genocide.
Is that in an entry called the Gaza genocide, or
it is? They recently, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. They, after a long debate with the editors, it's now listed as a genocide.
Interesting. I can't wait to see the U.S. State Department take over Wikipedia soon. And, and
Yeah.
undo that.
Screenshot it while you can, folks.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll have Matthew Hoh on the show soon. By the way, that makes me, since Matthew Hoh is also ex-military, I think that a lot of people in the U.S. military, or some of the bravest ones, they get over there and they realize what it actually is and what they need to be involved in, and it changes them. And Matthew Hoh is definitely one of those